John Higby gave me a huge 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon and sponsors today's video. Flubs the Fool versus Trostani, Jaheira with the background Inspiring Leader, and Quorum. 2-lander with a Sol Ring. Aftermath Analyst can hopefully get us into some lands, and yeah, we should be able to discard Echo Vions and refill our hands, so not the worst to start off with. It's actually pretty good. Gonna need another colour to play the Flubs though. Draw into a Shire on turn 1, so I'm thinking we go for a turn 2 Inti off the Sol Ring, meaning we will need red. And while I don't know what land we're going to get into for our third colour, I think we're best just trying to fix colours with a Tricycle land. So we'll forego the Sol Ring for turn 1. We'll still be able to get down the Inti on turn 2. The Jund player gets a Tinderwall down on turn 1. And a turn 1 Ocelot Pride means that he's probably going to be able to start making cat tokens pretty quickly. Seen a decent number of creatures quite soon, so not sure if we're going to be able to get Inti through even. Alright, drawing to a blue land, so yeah, I think we were always going to go for red. Could have gone for the Surveil land in hindsight, but obviously we weren't to know that, so yeah, potentially fix green with the Yavimaya, but we'll just go for it here. Tap the Yavimaya for the Sol Ring. Noteworthy as well, if I'd gone for an untapped land with the Ketria Triome, again not knowing which colours to go for, I suppose we could have just gone for blue and red, because we had the Yavimaya. We could have gone for the Sol Ring on turn 1 and then got both of the 2-drops down here. But anyway, throw out the Inti, ready for swinging in next turn. Quorum down into play on turn 2. Wonder if it's worth going for a Pongify onto this. Might be worth holding up blue mana for that. The 1-1 swings in down the middle whilst there are no blockers there. So life is gained and is going to make a token. Doesn't get to do the copy thing until he has 10 permanents in play though, but obviously the cat token goes some way to achieving that. Alright, Verdant Catacombs, so we're getting into the lands in this landfall variant of Flubs. Did think about doing the Cheerios thing, but I think it's going to be a bit too solitaire, so decided to go for obviously a landfall build where we can make additional lands with Flubs. We want to discard the Echo Vions, so let's swing into the left with the Inti to start off with. That puts a plus counter and trample on itself and allows us to discard and exile the top card of our library. We've only got until the end of the turn to play it though, so that's why I haven't played anything yet, because might be able to make another land. Okay, an Oracle of Muldair, I don't mind playing that this turn. That allows us to hold up Pongify for this as well. So maybe be able to, I don't know, you assume they want trample on this, maybe we could counter a Rancor or something like that. Make them use their mana and then blow it up. So deciding to take the damage, we will throw Oracle of Muldair into play. Might have some lands on the top that we can clear off if we're lucky, but we do have 2 lands in hand to play. Okay, crop rotation. Do we particularly care about crop rotation, or are we willing to shuffle that? Let's go for Verdant Catacombs. I can go for a Surveil land, and we've got another chance to get a land off the top with the Oracle. So let's make that a Hedge Maze. And we see Flooded Strand on top, so let's keep that on top. Play it. And Farseek, I don't mind shuffling away, and we'll hold up... yeah, we'll hold up the blue for the Pongify, so we can do that at instant speed, that's fine. Pass the turn at that. Might be worth giving this player a chance. He might just scoop straight away to his commander being blown up, because he's going to be an entire 4 mana away from it if it gets destroyed here, assuming that he doesn't make a land drop. He does manage to make a Scalding Tarn. Grinding Station, we assume, is part of a combo. So is he able to make lots of treasure with this or something? Decides not to swing in, but I might still blow it up with Pongify. Have to see, I haven't played Flubs before, so I don't know if I should play Flubs and then cast spells into it with something like Pongify. Or if we should maximise the number of cards that are in our hand before we get the commander down. Because then obviously we can start drawing cards if we empty our hand. Torrin's Fist of the Angels, one that you don't see a lot of, but excellent token generator. Springleaf Nantuko, very good landfall creature that's in this deck, and it is actually bestowing on the Ocelot Pride here, so a 2-2, first strike lifelink. The 2-2 swings in towards us as punishment. So I'm still wondering if we should use this Pongify or not. Obviously not going to block with an Oracle of Muldiah in play. Maybe we should just try and maximise the number of cards we can get from the Inti, and then we can always do our commander in response to a board wipe or something. Don't particularly care about a Farseek though when we're doing this well on lands. With plenty of fetches in the bin, Aftermath Analyst is going to be pretty good to play and crack as well. So Ocelot Pride makes a cat token and now has 6 permanents in play. So let's make that a volcanic island, and I think I will try to go for the Pongify onto the commander just to try to slow that player down a little bit. Not that he seems to be going rapidly fast, but getting rid of the commander here should slow him down nicely. Always risky to get your commander out very, very fast when you can't do anything with it straight away. So now on top we've got a green sleeves, which goes well with the Ashaya. They're both 5 drops, unfortunately. Eternal Witness means that we can't get a land into play here unless we reveal one with the Inti, so let's go through to attacks first. And we'll spread the damage because I don't want to make too much of an enemy out of Tristani. Noteworthy that he did miss a land there. So we'll go down the middle, 3-3 versus a 2-2. This will actually become a 4-4 now. So I'll just discard the Ashaya. I think we're still quite a ways off from getting that down. Okay, and now seeing a Jeska's Will on top. So still not revealing a land. Yeah, I think it's the Aftermath Analyst. Playing crack that during this turn cycle. And we'll have to forego the Eternal Witness. We're going to shuffle our graveyard anyway at some point thanks to the Echo Vions. So play the Analyst. Might be able to get another land here because we do have Mill when Aftermath enters, so could have waited on a land drop with the Otawara staying in hand actually. But again, no such luck. A Cultivate, go past the Jeska's Will, Swiftfoot Boots, and Steam Vents gets another land into play. So I think we can just leave it there. We can do a chump block with this and then sacrifice it in response to save ourselves some life. But we're getting to the point where we want to get Flubs down. Yeah, it's such an unusual commander this, and I haven't seen much gameplay of it. I'm not actually sure how to play it, so I'll get a feel for it during this game. Abrupt Decay goes onto this, which is a good means of card advantage for us so far. We're actually running out of cards in hand to get the exile effect, so I'm actually fine with Abrupt Decay, especially if we are going for the Echo Vions. Hoping our opponent isn't being too reactionary to us just because we got rid of his commander. Arcane Signet, never seen that artwork before. That must be a new one from the Bloomburrow set. A Soul Ring for the Jaheira player now, must have just drawn into that. Noteworthy that the Grinding Station does trigger its untap on any artifact entering from anywhere. Mondrak Glory Dominus going to generate twice as many tokens, which is particularly good with Torrens. Time to see if Tristani manages to make a land or not. A Prosperous Innkeeper first. Enters with a treasure token at least, and does manage to gain a life as well. If he can't swing in with the Ocelot Pride, that'll be handy. And does swing in towards us, so if it wasn't for the fact that he just gained life with the Prosperous Innkeeper, we would be able to take him off lifelink damage here and have him not generate tokens, because if we throw a blocker in the way and then remove the blocker, obviously he can't deal damage to it anymore. So we'll do that, throw that in the way. Aftermath Analyst returns all the lands into play from the graveyard. Say no to the shock lands because these come into play tapped. And we've accelerated ahead quite nicely on mana, especially compared to the Celestia player. So let's see what we can do here. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Do we make sure that we can make multiple lands this turn and cast a Cultivate before anything else? Let's play the Flubs and see how this goes. So first we get to shuffle some things around, tutor for a couple of lands with the Cultivate, so that triggers Flubs. And we have to discard the green sleeves. So this can just be a basic island and a mountain because we've got Yavimaya in play. Don't think we're going to be seeing a Blood Moon or anything. Just arbitrarily put the island down tapped. And we do have Exploration on top, which could be worth playing. Although we'd have to discard the land if we do that. Oh no, we'll draw into the Exploration, won't we? So play the land. So we've made one land drop so far. Flubs has us draw because we've got an empty hand. And there is a Tunneling Geopede, so let's play the Exploration to draw into that. In fact, I'll shuffle first because I'm not particularly interested in drawing into that, and we do have a lack of green at the moment. Oh, actually, I immediately forgot about the Avamaya, didn't I? Alright, well, we'll take advantage and get the forest into play just in case there is a Blood Moon type effect down the line. Throw out the Exploration. And again, drawing into one that I've been looking forward to playing, actually. Haven't had a chance to play Song of Creation ever since it was printed. Got another really good one on top as well. Don't think we'll be able to play that though, a Tatyova. So let's go at Song of Creation. And I'll remember that we've got the Avamaya in play this time, so tap down the fetches. Suppose I could have held up a fetch to shuffle just to try and get a land on top, just in case we don't here. And we don't, that is an Escape to the Wilds. So being pretty unlucky there. But we managed to hold Tatyova in our hand, and hold on to Echo Vions as well, so that we don't refill our opponent's hands too quickly. So might take a bit of damage here, but I think it's worth setting up. And I have wanted to play with the Song of Creation for a long time, like I said, so hopefully we get to do that as well. Oh, forgot about the Song of Creation downside. Have to discard our hands, so we don't get to keep the Tatyova anyway. But maybe draw back into it with the Echo Vions when we finally cast that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 additional lands. That means we can make 5 land drops a turn if we like. If we're able to get into them, that is. So you can see why Cheerios would be effective, because you'd keep just revealing 0 mana artifacts on top, or 0 mana spells, and you just keep casting them, and then if you get additional lands on top of your library, which you will, then it doesn't necessarily matter, because you can just play them with boards like this. Anyway, Corum back into play, managed to slow down that commander considerably by quite a few turns. In response to Corum, sacrificed his own Arcane Signet, not sure about that, in order to mill us, so got rid of. We knew about the Escape to the Wilds. Conspiracy Theorist is a good one to have in play with the discard stuff. A Polluted Delta as well, revealing a Lotus Cobra on top. Don't mind playing that next turn. Noteworthy that this is now an 11-5. Does not have Trample yet, thankfully, but I won't assume that it will not have Trample for very long. So yeah, the Graveyard Hate might be of some relevance. And is it a Shire? Yeah, a Shire is where the power is coming from, an 11-11 currently. Hivespine Wolverine is a new one from Bloomburrow. When it enters, can fight a creature, destroy an artifact or enchantment, plus counter on a creature you control, so you get to choose one. They do make a token, or a couple of tokens with that, so might want to hold up the generic mana for Mondrak. Torrens and Mondrak goes very, very well together in a creature-based deck. Dare say they might blow up the Song here. Might go on to the fight with Flubs instead, because it is 5 power to 5 toughness. Alright, instead goes after the combo piece in the grinding station, so can't say I mind that, but personally would have gone after this. That does mean that we're less likely to wheel next turn if we can chain off a bunch of spells and keep our hand full. We are losing some of our discard matters stuff though. Keldorn Outpost into play there as well. Had to sacrifice her planes for that, but we'll be able to make tokens. The 4-4 swings in at us. And the 1-1 with training. The Torrens has training as well, so that comes in towards us. Yeah, I suppose they should focus on us before we start to go off here. Anyway, a plus counter on either of the creatures, so we're taking a big hit for 9 here. Alright, so we block the... Oh, I've gone through the block phase apparently. I was going to say that we block Mondrak with the Flubs. But we're taking a hit for 4 when we shouldn't. Could be that our opponent has a Ganjo or something, I suppose. Maybe it is a little bit risky to block with Flubs, but I would have blocked there if we hadn't misclicked or been screwed over by the client, whichever one it was. So we're down to 25 already. Trostani finally getting into a land. It's a tap land, unfortunately, but does manage to make an insect token with it. Or actually pays the cost on that, so a 2 mana Ocelot Pride copy coming into play, which means they'll get multiple copies of the Ocelot Pride, so this is going to be a fun interaction. Never thought of doing that with the Ocelot Pride. And as soon as you get token copies of it down, it starts to go crazy, and you don't even have to swing in like we pointed out previously, thanks to the Innkeeper gaining life. They can quite comfortably swing in at us for a bit of life gain though, which arguably they should, because they can just gain the free life and it gives them a little bit of longevity. But now we see 2 Ocelot Prides on the stack. So a cat token, couple of cat tokens, and a copy of the Ocelot Pride. Triggers Innkeeper for more life gain. And hopefully our opponents will start to look elsewhere although I'm not confident that we're not going to do some crazy stuff ourselves next turn. Really happy to see this Ocelot Pride interaction though, look at that. All these cat tokens, and now has 5 copies in total of the Ocelot Pride. So during the draw step, get into the Lotus Cobra, and there's an Anger, don't mind discarding that, so maybe reveal a land on top that we can discard the Anger with. So play the Lotus Cobra, let's go for Flubs on the stack first so that we draw 2 cards and then we can discard the Anger to Flubs. This is where your knowledge of the stack starts to matter. This player holding up priority, so maybe he's got a Swords or something. Draw into a Ruth. If you would draw a card, exile the top 2 instead and you can play them this turn. So just shows us even more cards. Finally, reveal a land. So we have to discard because we do have cards in hand to the Flubs. And now all of our stuff has haste. So let's play the Aruth just out of curiosity. I'm not entirely sure how to play this deck, even though I built it. So I'm just kind of winging this. There is a version that's similar to this, isn't it, that gets big buffs to its attack? Is that to do with discard or something? Can't remember. It's a 3 mana Izzet commander though. So let's, again, we'll put Song of Creation on the stack, then we draw to the Flubs. So we end up drawing 3 here effectively. And there's a World Soul's Rage. So we can put land cards from hand and or graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. Surly Badgersaw is some discard matters as well. So if we discard Tropical Island, the World Soul's Rage is going to be alright. This player has had enough of the somewhat solitaire. Yeah, let's just cast the Lightning Greaves here. So we're about to start exiling with Aruth instead, so... yeah, I didn't think of the whole discard thing. Kind of switched off our ability to choose what we discard here. Yeah, Flubs on the stack, exile the top 2 cards of our library, then we'll have to discard the Tropical Island. And there's a Tireless Provisioner on top, which I wouldn't mind seeing. Got some lands here as well, so yeah, might have to give up on the World Soul's Rage, unfortunately. Throw Lightning Greaves onto the Flubs. Alright, this player decided to scoop as well. Yeah, we're just going to have to discard the Rage, so play Ancient Tomb, Lotus Cobra triggers, and the Flubs will have us discard the World Soul's Rage. We'll make a green mana with the Cobra. Commercial District into play, wouldn't mind seeing that Dryad of the Elysian Grove either. So Flubs will have us draw into the Tireless Provisioner. And I'm thinking Aruth might be a little bit of a nombo here, because we do have discard matters stuff in the deck, and yeah, that kind of messes us up with that. Tireless Provisioner we will leave on top with the Commercial District. Is that 2 lands we've made this turn? End up drawing Tiger and Tireless Provisioner with the Flubs, which means it's in exile. Cast Tireless Provisioner, Song of Creation and Flubs are going to trigger. Flubs is always going to draw us here. Don't have Thoracle combo or anything like that in here. I wondered if I should, like Labman and stuff like that. We've got Gaia's Cradle, definitely play that here. Got the Spring Heart and Tuco as well, which goes well with the Gaia's Cradle. So Flubs will draw us with an empty hand. The Tireless Provisioner will make a treasure, Lotus Cobra does as well. Make a red mana for Bergie, because we'll play that here. Suppose the upside of the Izzet commander is that Flubs is always going to effectively draw us by exiling off the top. So let's play Bergie first. Got the Nissa available to us as well for landfall. Spell being cast means we exile 3 cards off the top. There's a delayed Blast Fireball, probably worth going for 3 mana from the exile zone. Means we get rid of all our opponent's board here. But let's get down the Spring Heart first of all, because it's good with the Bergie. Could make copies of the Lotus Cobra like our opponent is doing, and that would be good with like a Shire and cards like that. But we'll just play it as an insect generator in order to make the Gaia's Cradle better, like I said. So again, exile the top 3. We make a red mana with Bergie from now on every time we cast something. You can see how I've tried to build the deck. Problem is I can't remember how many lands I've made now. I think it does keep track of your land count somewhere. Let's play Dryad of the Elysian Grove in order to get another land drop this turn. Oh, we've got Azusa as well actually. Azusa is probably a good thing to get into. Got 36 cards left in the library. And it's going to be the same every time we cast something here. Getting pretty difficult to keep track of everything that's in the exile zone, but we've got additional lands to make here at least. So let's just play Tiger, and that will trigger the Flubs for 1 card being exiled. We'll get an insect token, treasure token, and more mana from the Lotus Cobra. And then we see an Urza's Cave on top. I mean, there's not really much point in playing anything off the top unless we're trying to empty our graveyard or our library as soon as we can. Just generically play a mountain. Like I said, I've absolutely no idea how many lands I've even got now for the turn. But we get all the same triggers again. We'll play ourselves a Nissa just to generate more mana, which means casting a spell. So exile 3 cards, go down to 23 cards in the library. And there we see Hugs, which is another additional land per turn if we want it. Can get double landfall triggers from the Ancient Green Warden as well. Shock down a breeding pool. Exiles that Avenger of Zendikar off the top of our library and makes more tokens, more mana. Rinse and repeat. So now we've got Nissa on the stack as well in order to make even more mana. It's still letting us play lands. Probably a good idea to get a Borrow into play because we can tap that and pay for its own ability to bounce it back to hand. So we've got, well, as many land triggers as we want once a Borrow is online. Yeah, I'm seeing cards like Tunneling Geopede now. While we can make lots of lands in a turn, I'm wondering, I had absolutely no idea how this deck was going to play out. I had no idea it would be this obnoxious. I knew Flubs was really, really good, but I thought if we didn't go for the Cheerios build, then maybe we'd have half a chance of a fair game. But apparently not, so I have to discard the Lumara, somehow drew into that. Yeah, so I'm thinking of just replacing stuff like this with the Labman and the Thassa combo, Thassa's Oracle combo. Maybe the 4 mana Jace as well, if we're able to so consistently get rid of our entire library like this. Don't have another land to make, unless we went for a Wayward Swordtooth. I do appreciate our opponent playing this out. It might be that he has an answer for us. Could go for a board wipe or something. I think we've only got until the end of the turn to play these. Yeah, this turn, so cards like Sink into Stupor. Client's bugging out here. Cards like Sink into Stupor, we're not going to be able to hold up on our opponent's turn for a board wipe. The additional land allows us into Urza's Cave. We could go forward or shot down the Stomping Ground. Oh, we've got a command tower there as well. So more landfall triggers, more obnoxious stuff. 11 cards left in the deck. Let's go for Dryad of the Elysian Grove, allows us into more landfall. Why don't we just try and end it here? Well, our opponent might still win, but we'll try and end the turn here. Delayed Blast Fireball. And that is being played from exile, even though it's only for 3 mana. Does count as a spell, of course, so again, we're exiling the top 3 cards of our library thanks to the permanents, including the Eruth. Oh, and we've got Aetherflux Reservoir. I totally forgot about that, so 3 cards left in the library, and this is right on the bottom. So I'm not sure that we could actually win with this. Oh, we can, because we're not drawing, are we? We're exiling. Alright, well that, yeah, totally forgot. The problem is, it's a long time between building these decks, so yeah, clearly I did have some kind of plan when I built it. Let's see here, let's go for the Dryad of the Elysian Grove then. And we can beat our opponent after all. Apologies for dragging it out so long, but one of our win conditions was in the bottom 3 cards of the library. That's a point actually. This replaces the draw step, so could we win with Thoracle? I don't think we could win with Labman. I need to look at the exact wording on it. Maybe we need to draw into an empty library. I think with Thassa's Oracle we could win, but if we need to draw into an empty library we couldn't do it with this. Anyway, we have exiled, where is it? Aetherflux Reservoir, so play that. We've played 11 spells here apparently. And continue to generate mana, which means we can just carry on going for, I doubt it's forever, but we can definitely have solitaire turns, as we've seen here. Noteworthy as well, if there's improvements to be made to the deck, these things are worth pointing out while I'm kind of figuring things out as I play it. 6 is switched off here because we can't discard lands to it in order to fish something like an Aetherflux Reservoir out of the bin. Anyway, just play Birds of Paradise. We now have an empty library and an empty hand, but plenty of cards in exile to cast. So the exile is irrelevant, but the life gain from Aetherflux Reservoir is not. Haven't touched the treasure tokens yet, but we gain a life for each spell we've cast this turn. So go up to 32, it'll take another spell or two, I think. Just play the Mana Crypt for no mana. Make a mana with Birgi, Aetherflux Reservoir, you all get the point by now, I think. Massive props to my opponent for this. Now we're up to 46, do we need to be at 50 for this? Yes, so it's going to take another spell, I'm afraid. Doesn't really matter what, we'll just make it the Rapid Hybridization onto the Nantuko. And then with that on the stack, we'll just point the damage at our opponent. We lose 50 life, our opponent loses 50 life as well. And again, massive props to my opponent for that, because he had a really rough game. Yeah, I was genuinely thinking that was going to be a fair game of Landfall with Flubs. I know Landfall's a good deck anyway, no matter what colours it tends to be in, but yeah, apparently this is an accidental combo machine. Even more so than I thought it was. Avoiding Cheerios didn't fix it. So big props to my opponent again. Apologies to the other two. But hopefully you all got some enjoyment and some ideas from it. A little bit of tweaking to be done, I think, but not a bad first attempt with the deck. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.